Hello, everybody, and welcome to Maximum Libertarian. I am Brian, and
This is Dean.
if this is your first, and that's Dean, and if this is the first time you've joined us on this page, please click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and what else, Dean?
Smash that motherfucking like button.
Yeah, smash the like button, of course, and share it and like it. Give so it helps us out. It'll help you out, and that's that's the first thing. And you can follow us on Twitter. We are MaxLib. As you can see, it's in my name right there.
Can't
Um,
miss that.
to, Today we want to discuss COVID lockdowns are possibly returning to here in the state of Virginia, and I can tell you, we'll every story that we're going to talk about will pull up onto the screen possibly, and I can just say that me personally, I think it's completely backwards. Our president elect Joe Biden, I think, is going to make a horrendous decision, and I'll let you chime in because you like to share on your Facebook page about the numbers
I
and
like
all that good stuff.
I like I like putting it out there for a lot of people. I get actually quite a few people because I know I've done EMS and fire that ask me about the numbers, and I say, you know what, make it easier so I don't get messaged a million different people messaging me. But I put the numbers out there. That sometimes pisses off people, but you know what? I'm just putting out what the data says. 15 long-term care facilities, uh, 4 congregate living, 3 daycares, 3 businesses, 3 churches. Um, let's see, a business and a restaurant, maybe 2 businesses and a restaurant is what we have right now in the Allegheny area, Allegheny, Roanoke City, that area, with increase, and especially in the near southwestern areas, we have a heavily increased um, load, and the governor pretty much. I would say he's on his last limb, and you can agree with the governor and don't agree with the governor. He's kind of trying to, I guess, trying to do what's best for the people, and I don't know if it's the best for the people based on what can come out of it. But put it in this perspective that um, he basically put up a thing today saying this is the last ditch effort I can try to do before I have to pull the trigger on you and restrict phase 2 type restrictions, which would be 50 or less people gathering, restaurants at half capacity, gyms at 25% capacity, and then he could, in certain areas that were higher, like Roanoke City, which is a hotbed, could impose phase 1 uh, impositions on people. So it's really, I don't know, it's damned if you do and damned if you don't, really.
So, what is exactly are we supposed to do that make him not pull the trigger? What did he say?
Well, he wants people to slow the spread, which is wearing masks. There's a lot of people with fatigue for mask wearing. There's a lot of people that do not wear masks in the stores or out in the public. Basically, they're not being a good. In my position, in my thought process is, it's not about you; it's about everybody. So wearing that mask, as uncomfortable as it might be, I see 2 and 3 year olds wearing masks. Okay, that are better behaved than some of these people that don't want to wear masks because they think it's a political mind device, and it's far from it. It's trying to protect the highly contagious disease from going from person to person. And the only way we're going to get better at it is limiting the amount of people that get together. And that's the first thing he was talking about. Secondly, restaurants have alcohol. Alcohol makes bad decisions. Bad decisions, you get the idea. Uh, no mask, up on each other for in a like somewhere like the Sidewinders or a park, something that is like a party area in the city. So it really can affect this rapid spread. When you wear a mask or not, you know, if everybody wore a mask, we would have zero transmission, but we sure to hell would have a lot less transmission than we have now. I know now a couple people personally now has had it. We weren't shy about you saying you had it, and they're saying the ages of people in hospitalizations for 86 hospitalizations currently for COVID in the Allegheny Roanoke area, which would mean like Allegheny hospital up in Allegheny, Lewis Gale, Roanoke Memorial, the VA. So total hospitalized patients right now is 86, ages 29 to 84. Majority of patients,
Okay.
mean age is 72. So the majority of them are older people, but they're still, like, think about 29 years old, they're still younger people.
Hmm.
So, and I guess
How
it's
is
maybe more
just
of a, uh, you know, being personally responsible for yourself and others. I guess it's more of a personal responsibility thing, I think, that needs to be done. That's just my personal belief. Anybody can challenge me on it.
oh, you would definitely be challenged on it, I can tell you. Even though I've said here, um, I've, I have no issue about wearing a mask in the stores. I find it absolutely ridiculous walking around in public when you're outside by yourself to be in a mask. I think it looks
Oh no,
stupid when you're driving a car and you have a mask on and you're the only one in the car.
and that's my point
Um,
too. There is stupidity behind it, like you just said, wearing a mask in a car
but
by yourself. Now, if
let,
you're with somebody else that you don't know, like if you're in an Uber ride or something, I understand that. But if you're outside away from people, don't wear a mask. You don't have to wear a mask. It's when you're inside of these buildings that's the highest transmission rate. Is the inside of the buildings, not 6 foot apart for long periods of time over 15 minutes. It's like hazmat. Your exposure time to that virus is what's going to make you sick, or even if you're asymptomatic like you are. I mean,
but I don't understand why everyone's rushing to this vaccination on a. If you look at the data, which we're told to just look at the science data, the death rate compared to the what are we jumping? Why are we shutting everything down? That makes absolutely no sense to me.
there's other ways to there's ways to put restrictions up without shutting places down. Uh,
But but if you say, well, let's limit 25% into a restaurant, that kills a restaurant.
50%.
Restaurants can't, huh? Okay, well,
It'd be
50%,
50.
whatever you want to name, whatever the number that our dear leaders want to say. There's businesses that if they say that it's not even worth their time to open up, so in turn that loses jobs. It loses because the waitresses, people, because they're not going to open up when they'll just do the curbside thing. That's why I'm having such a let's pull up this first story from NBC News.
Yep.
Let's see, we're going to add it to the stream, and it says right here, 8 million Americans slipped into poverty amid coronavirus pandemic. New study says. If you look down into it, it talks about how the Federal CARE Act, which a one-time stimulus of $1,200 and an unemployment workers at an extra $600 a week. Now, right there, we can stop there for a second, and you're taking people who weren't making with the unemployment plus the $600 a week. We're now making more than they were when they were working, so it makes it harder for them to go back to work. Does that make sense? This like
Yeah, it makes
this is
perfect sense.
this is why it's so ass backwards. And then it's individuals like myself who is still having to go to work. Not that I have an issue because I don't want to stay at my house, but you're having these individuals. I have to go to work. Then you got these other guys getting to sit at home and collect paychecks. They're making more than me, and they're making more than me as if I had worked an overtime shift or two. You know,
And the other thing is,
um,
there's a lot of places that say they're hiring and they're really not hiring. They're only
right?
putting logs. So it's not all that some people don't want to work, because trust me, the other job I was doing other than the weather pros with the weather, I love doing with doing stuff for valeting. But the problem is they can't socially distance and they don't want to have us in risk. So that hurts people that like myself that had that extra job that really enjoyed doing something. I mean, yes, they could go to work at McDonald's or Burger King, but then you have people that have something like that. You have people that have underlying conditions, and it may not be the smartest move for them to go to a Burger King or McDonald's to um, work, because the transmission rate inside those locations can be pretty high. It's
Right.
Most of those places have had outbreaks, and it's hard to stop them once they start. And you could be wearing a mask too. Problem is, people can't wear. The other problem is people don't wear a mask properly. Like they're layering it below their nose, they're wearing it below their chin. there's just so much stupidity behind it. I see 2-year-old kids do a better job and can leave it on longer and don't touch their face as much than humans, the older Americans, uh, anybody above like 10 or 15 years old. Like, then they say, well, we
Right.
don't need to wear this mask. It's a political device. No, it's not. It's there to protect. Once we get, Pfizer said they did 50,000. When I read the information about that too, 50,000 people in that study had gotten that vaccine. It was 90% effective. No deaths, no injury. It's not bad. It's a good
Yeah, but
sign,
once again, let me
but I don't
ask
want
you
to be.
why are we jumping through hoops for
I don't want to be a guinea
vaccine?
pig.
Well, neither do I. Why are we jumping through hoops uh, for vaccine when our death rate? I understand it's out there that this isn't a hey, it's false or whatever. Uh, What this is showing is we're jumping through hoops for vaccine for something that's not killing. Look, if we had like a really like a black plague where we're all laying in the streets, dead bodies are just, on top of one another, that's one thing, but that's not the case. And I need someone, and our government is failing us. Go down further into the story. It says we find that the monthly poverty rate increased from 15% to 16.1 or 16.7% from February to September of
There it is, right
2020,
there.
even after taking the CARES Act income transfers into the account.
Yep.
So increases in monthly poverty rates have been particularly acute for Black and Hispanic people as well as for children. So this is people going into poverty, and our deficits going up, up, up. Help me! I just need someone to help me out here. All right, let's take that one down, and the next one is pull up the wonderful leader from New York City, Mayor De Blasio, as he breaks social distancing to snap selfies with his supporters as people cheered because Joe Biden had been elected to the presidency.
I'm pulling that up right now. For somehow that escaped my
See, right here is just another example of you telling me what to do. It's Bloomberg. Bloomberg's surrounded by armed guards, but then he's going around funding every town, take away the guns, whatever that little his super PAC is. Um, all right, so we're going to pull that one up.
You gotta love him.
Oh,
Good lord.
yeah, I love him. He's a wonderful man. He's wonderful. And then right there, as you can see, there's the wonderful mayor as he takes selfies, gets real close. I don't think that's 6 feet, is it? Maybe
No,
you can
that's
help me on.
maybe 2 feet. The only thing that's beneficial with this compared to what our governor did and other people did was they have this on the mask. That's the only thing different between when it was our great governor that decided not to wear a mask on the beach. This is
Right.
risky, but not half as risky as not wearing a mask and doing this. But it also depends if they were there for a couple minutes. The likelihood of them getting a COVID based on all three of them, all these people wearing their masks next to each other, is probably pretty low.
Right.
But if they didn't have masks,
Look.
it would be pretty high.
Yeah. Okay. Let's scroll down. Look right here. This is a wonderful paragraph right here. It says earlier in the pandemic, the Democrat introduced what he later dubbed as a snitch hotline, encouraging residents to contact authorities to see if anyone breaching social distancing protocols or the city's lockdown orders. Violators were issued $500 fines. Who is that going to affect? I tell you who that's going to affect. It's going
Poor
to
people.
affect poor people and lower middle class. The exact same people that these morons, and that's what they are, let's be honest, are dear leaders. They will, we'd have to follow the law. They don't, this is disgusting right here, man. And it makes me sick because, why? Help me out here. when I get sick, I go home. If I had the flu, if I had a common cold, whatever the illness was, I'm in my house. I don't go out. I don't go to the bars and restaurants. And you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, but now we're having to be led by these guys in Richmond and DC, and let's see, however. So, see, once again, and then this is the same guy. Let me see if it's in the article where Mayor de Blasio was sending police officers into the, what do they call it? It's the Jewish people that are really devout, I believe. And I don't want to, I know I ripped it, I'll mess up the wording. Let's see.
Yeah, right here. Was breaking up funerals of prominent rabbi.
Yeah. I mean, like they actually have police officers. Now, it's not hearing the story, but there's a video online, and it was like them actually going to police officers having to go to this guy's house because there was more than 10 people inside this guy's apartment. Okay, this is completely asinine. And when you have a snitch hotline, when you have and then you have people like, if I don't wear a mask, let's just say, then you have everybody wanting to, because of, you're saying, and I know it shouldn't be political, but it is political. And then what they'll do is they'll have everybody getting into fights over it. Like they're shooting guns and all that good stuff. Like I'm walking in with a machine gun. All right, now the next one is, this was I thought, very interesting one. Now we were talking about the mask. This comes from fee.org. When it talks about the push for the national mask mandate, if you look down here, it shows there's it says a study showing that 1,000 counties in the U.S. saw COVID hospitalizations fall after passing mask mandates have been retracted. So what's going on here? The authors have withdrawn the manuscript because, and see, here we go again.
That's politics.
Right there. Huh?
That's political.
What are we doing?
When you're withdrawing something, something like that, it's political.
Yes, but they just, as you could see, it fell. Hospitalizations fell. So is that political, or is that science?
Makes you wonder. And then you have the Surgeon General saying, "Stop buying masks."
Now that happened, I think, earlier in the thing. Yeah, I think that was
February 29th. Yeah, that'd be really early.
Yeah. So that was that, and they were wanting to make sure that the workers at the hospital had the PPEs.
Yep.
But this is a very interesting article. I think but then if you go down here and it talks about in May, I think you just passed that, I believe it said in May, a 22-year-old mother was not wearing her face covering and was arrested around by the New York City police officer in front of her children. And if you go down further, it talks about that, because if it turns into it, now you're going to have more interactions like that with people fighting the police. And we're already in this powder keg, for whatever reason, with police, and having to do the possibility of unintended consequences could come up here with things like this.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So we better start really looking at data. We need to start looking at the science. If I say, if you want my personal opinion, I'd open everything back up. If you're old, if you have something that might compromise you, then be smart. I mean, we've got to start allowing people to be people. I mean, or this is insane. Am I wrong? What would you do? You're the one wanting to run for delegate. You're going to be asked this question. Caesar was asked this question. He ran for city council. And let's be honest, Caesar, city council is only going to do so much.
Yep. Well, it's all about what the state does versus. Do I think the state should be making decisions for the people? No. Do I think public health should be a important, and if there is the need for something to slow down the potential of a lot of people dying, it needs to be done. But if it's something that is, you know, worse, doing worse than good, then it needs to be thought of. Like, like we've discussed before, you got suicide rates up, you got, abuse up. There's a whole lot more things than just the virus that's hurting people. And we need to concentrate on that too, because we really, it's only one, this is only, the virus itself is only one part of the problem. And the only, the solution they're talking about is the vaccine. And that's probably not going to be till regular people probably won't get it till 2020, somewhere early 2021 throughout the year. And how many people are going to actually take it because they don't trust the government? It's We need to be smart about how we do things, but we also have to understand that we can't take somebody's rights away. But at the same time, those persons, if they are know they're sick and they go out in the public, are going to affect other people. So it's not just yourself that you have to worry about; you're hurting other people. So it's just a big mess. It's really what
But
it is.
you can do that with the flu. You could do that with
Oh yeah,
pneumonia. You can do that with anything. And
oh yeah,
right now, the way that things are being done at different job sites, I'm hearing. Okay, here's an example. If when I was on, I had to stay out for 2-week quarantine. Um, when I did the 2-week quarantine, the government or whoever paid. I did not use any sick time or paid leave. Okay.
yep,
Then some companies are saying you do 14 days, that's how it'll be. If you get COVID again, you've got to pay. You've got to use
I
your
know what.
paid leave. So in turn, people, you know what people are going to do? They're going to lie because they're not going to have time on the books that they can allow them to miss all that work. They might have bills to pay. That's what's going to happen because we're having these ass backward things thrown onto the wall. I'm telling you.
It's
You
true.
know what I'm saying?
Yep, it is. There's just so much. It's so complex. It's not even right.
Right. So, what, as a delegate, what would be your thing right now? Preferences this can all change. So, um, right now, what would you do?
Right now, I would suggest that people do things to minimize the spread, but there's nothing I could do to force you to do anything about it. Um, People are going to do what they want with their own lives, so be it. If
Mhm.
it becomes a part where our hospital systems get overrun and we really are in a dire situation, then you have to be able to step in a public safety format and say we have to do something to deter this.
Right.
Locking down people, like I said, has many consequences. Um, Minor restrictions versus major restrictions. In the beginning, what we did was more major. I think little things like that would affect the potential exposure. Gyms 25%, things like that. If somebody's getting out of control, you have to at least try to control that for a period of time
But
so you can get things under control.
when you
But you
have
don't
a
want to
gym
forcibly do
that
it.
when you have a gym that will make someone healthier, and you're
It's a damned if
limiting
you
the
do.
amount.
It really is a
That that
damned if you
that
do, damned if you don't.
that one isn't. That one isn't. That one isn't. That one is dumb.
You
They
can move,
say
yeah,
to
that is.
follow the
But
science.
you
That one
can
is to
move your,
follow the science.
you can actually move your exercise outside, and
No, but I mean, even whatever. But if you're getting someone healthy, I would say let them go get healthy, not force them. That's insane. If you saw the people in your
yeah.
former hometown, uh,
So
so
yeah, it's one of
um,
those things that you have to come up. You have to be mindful of the person and then mindful of what could happen if you don't. It's a balancing act.
right.
It really is. And I hate to say it, it's not going to get any easier. And at least until there's some kind of a uh, other some of these pills or vaccines start actually doing something, and then we're still going to be told to wear masks. They're going to still tell you to wear masks because you're still going to people that don't get it are still going to possibly get exposed to it, and it's just a big mess. It is, and
It's extremely big mess, and I think the lockdowns are ridiculous. I think people's taking away their businesses, their livelihoods. Um, it's wrong, and I think people should be personally responsible for themselves, and then know how they're going to affect others. It's almost like walking into a room and hollering fire,
yep,
in a crowded room. You don't do that. It's not
the
a
unintended
good
consequences,
idea.
the unintended
So in
unintended
turn,
consequences is being stomped on by a bunch of people and injured that
yeah,
way.
but they're trying to pretend that it's this health thing. And the thing was, the Democrats and the Republicans have all been they've been name calling, and now they're calling for unity. They'll make something political, and then they'll say, let's not make it political. It's so ass backwards, man. It's really sad to see where we are right
Indeed.
now. So, all right, we're at the 26-minute marking, and I think that's a good time to just call it a day. So, thank you very much for joining me, and for anyone that's stayed on and watched it, please make sure you click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and Dean,
Smash that like button.
yes, smash the like button and share this with your friends. Follow us on Twitter at WeAreMaxLib. And until next time, I'm Brian.
And I'm Dean.
And we will see you later. Good night.